everybody. In this video, I'm playing the role of a developer who is going to be consuming APIs through Polly. Now, this could either be a partner or customer of yours who is using your APIs in the case of a partner enablement use case, or this could be an internal developer who's going to be building an integration or application backend using Polly. The setup experience is pretty much the same for everybody, so this video is kind of shared across all the tracks. So the first step in their journey is going to be within their IDE, depending on which IDEs we support at that time. Today it's just VS Code and IntelliJ is going to be number 2. But they're basically going to go to the extensions marketplace. They're going to search for Polly API, and then here they'll find the Polly Assistant. And this is basically our entry in the VS Code marketplace. So here I can hit install, and once Polly's set up, you'll notice 2 views. Now your views might be in slightly different locations if this is the first time setting up Polly, so versus where mine show up, because I've basically done this and VS Code has a little bit of a memory. But first, you should notice a tree icon, which is basically going to show you something along the lines of like this. And this will also evolve as we add support for Java and Python next. But in general, there'll be a tree view that gives you these options. And then there'll also be an assistant view, which is going to be represented as a parent. Now, most likely the parent is going to show up here for you. And I prefer to basically just drag the parent to this right view so that I can have her over here. So what you need to do is basically set up your Polly library. So here you'll pick the language that you want, in this case TypeScript, and I'll say set up Polly library. And here you'll provide the instance ID or URL that you're going against. Now, if you're hosting your own Polly inside your Kubernetes, it's going to be a unique URL to you. However, if you're using one of our public environments, it's going to look something like this. And then here you'll specify your API key, and I'll go ahead and paste mine and hit enter. Now, I've gone ahead and actually decommissioned that API key after the making of this video, so don't try and use my key if you're thinking some malicious thoughts. Now, what Polly's doing is going to be a little bit language dependent. In this case, with TypeScript, it goes through and double checks all my dependencies and says, hey, you're going to need TS Node, so let's go ahead and install that. So I'll say yes. And you're going to need TypeScript, so let's go ahead and say yes. And you're going to need a tsconfig.json file, sure. And so basically it does this, it sets up all the dependencies, and then it goes ahead and basically generates my library, starting with the catalog as is. And so at this point, once this step is done, we can see that it's successful if we see functions inside the tree view. So you can see that we have some out-of-the-box functions that are available with Polly. Additionally, you can basically go ahead and say hello to Polly. And if Polly responds, that's your verification that everything's been set up correctly. Great. So Polly is happy, and that's the end of this video.